Stranger Things is a Netflix original series starring Winona Ryder, David Harbour, and Matthew Modine. The show takes place in the 1980s in this small town, and it follows the events after a young boy goes missing. The story is told mainly from the point of view of his most immediate friends and family, his mother, played by Winona Ryder, and his brother, along with his three best friends. The show is very good at catching you immediately off the bat. Right off the first episode, you are into what the show is. And what is the show? To best describe the show, Stranger Things, I would say it's E.T. with a horror element tossed in, which is really what it is. The Duffer Brothers, who created the show, really sort of made it as a throwback to those old 80s films and books, like the ones by Stephen King. The show, I think the thing that I like most about the show is the characters. They all feel real. The way they react to things feels real. Even Winona Ryder, in the first episode when her son goes missing, I've heard some people say that they think it's like a little bit of an overacting moment, but I didn't see it. You know, they really do sell this sort of fear of when your friend or your son or whoever goes missing. The show also has a character named Eleven, who is an escaped patient from this science laboratory, which may or may not have something to do with the disappearance of the boy's friend. The show is 8 episodes long, and you know what? I could have totally went for it being like 22 episodes. It is so good. I really did love, sometimes with a lot of shows, at least for me, it could take me maybe to the 3rd episode to know if I really am going to want to watch this. A lot of shows had to take a couple of steps to find their footing. Stranger Things doesn't. Right off the bat, you were into it. You were into the story. You were into the world of Stranger Things, which I think is the most important thing. In a show like this that's dealing with a lot of supernatural elements, you really have to capture your audience quickly and buy them into sort of supernatural elements, which can be difficult. But this show does it very well, and I think that's because of the 3 principal children who are all real kids. I mean, when these kids talk, they talk like real kids talk. There are times when their sentences don't have big, they don't always have to say something huge. It could just be a little funny comment or something. And the adults as well speak like real adults. Because that's the problem sometimes when you're writing dialogue. You can write really good dialogue that can move the plot along, but it doesn't always seem real. This dialogue in Stranger Things does. The kids really are the driving element, and they sell it. I mean, if I was to compare it to another film like, say, Earth to Echo, where those kids all felt like they were written. They didn't feel like real children. These kids feel like kids that you might have known when you were younger. I think my favorite character out of the entire show was actually Hopper, who was the police chief. I think I liked him best because he had the best arc over the whole show. He starts off as just like, it's like not an everyday occurrence, but it's just like, okay, there's a missing child, let's just deal with this by the book. But then as he starts to dig a little bit deeper, he starts to get more invested into it, and then we get more invested into his character. I think that's the best thing about the show, is investment. Each episode you watch of Stranger Things, you get more and more invested into these characters and the story, and you want to see them succeed. That, I think, is the best compliment I could give a TV show, is that you want to keep watching it. This is also the type of show that, I found myself when an episode would end, even though it's on Netflix, screaming, "What? No, you couldn't end it there!" Thank God they didn't release this like an episode a week. I couldn't deal with that. So, Stranger Things. It's only 8 episodes long, but like with Netflix's Daredevil, each episode is, I would say, between 40 to 50 minutes is what I was finding, which is why it only has to be 8 episodes, but it's totally worth it. I found myself watching the show and then looking at the clock when it's done and being like, an hour's gone by. You never, ever feel its length, which is another compliment I could give the show. I think the Duffer Brothers did a fantastic job of capturing their audience with great characters. They had a compelling storyline that I wanted to keep continuing. I really can't wait to see what season 2 brings us, if we do get a season 2, which I'm hoping we do. Not giving spoilers, because the way the show ends, there are a few tiny unanswered questions that I think a season 2 could really dive into and show. If there were any faults of the show, I would say that there are certain characters like Matthew Modine who didn't really get that much development, but I'm hoping, and this is why it's a small gripe, is that I'm hoping in a season 2 we get to see a little bit more of the backstory, because for right now he's not the best, but he is still a good character. It's just we don't really know a lot about him. Besides that, everything else is stellar. The cast, the writing, it's all fantastic. If you have a Netflix subscription and you haven't watched this show, I would definitely say go and watch Stranger Things. And if I had to give it a rating, I'm going to give Stranger Things an A. So, what did you think of Stranger Things? Have you watched it? Have you watched a little bit of it? Or has it not interested you? Sound off in the comments and let me know. And if you want to see more of my videos, click the subscribe button. Alright, see you later.